Hi, everybody. Welcome to Christian Homestead. My name is Jared. We have a brand new Second Coming quote, and this was said only about an hour before I started recording this video. I was on Facebook, and I saw this live stream by Young Men Worldwide. This is an official church account. If you're a young man, or if you have young men in your household, or if you're the bishop, I would highly recommend following this account. They are also on Instagram. And as far as these live streams go, I don't know if bishops get a notification ahead of time or parents, but these seem to be really helpful. In fact, I watched part of this one from May 12th, and it, sorry, it's hard for me to picture. If I were bishop, I would have found this very helpful. They talked about the reason for the change in young men's, how there's no longer a young men's presidency, how it falls under the bishop. And they gave some very good advice about delegation and how to manage this so that not everything is on your shoulders as bishop. So I'll put the link for this in the description box below for both this live stream and this one. But we're going to be talking about this one titled Missionary Work: Love, Share, and Invite. So we're going to be hearing from President Timothy L. Farnes. He is relatively new. He became the Young Men General President on April 5th of last year. And then he's joined by Rogelio Osuna, Young Men General Advisory Council member. I don't think I did a video about this, but I think it was just a few months ago. The church put together this Young Men General Advisory Council, and he's one of the members of this council. And he currently works for the missionary department of the church. So I added this quote to my spreadsheet called Quotes Second Coming. You can access my spreadsheets anytime. The link is in the description box of each video. And we're going to start off with Rogelio. President Farnes mentioned, I work for the missionary department, and one of the blessings is to see the hastening of the work and how everything is moving so rapidly, and how the Lord is working with everyone in the world in being able to receive the gospel, learn about the gospel, and make the decision to join the church. Before I continue, on this spreadsheet alone, I have so many quotes that are in line with this: the hastening of the work, the acceleration, record-breaking numbers. It's pretty amazing. And I'll tell you what, I have collected as many quotes as I can, and they continue to come in. But even just looking at my own life experience, I was born into the church, and I've never seen a time like this. I've never heard these words so much as we're hearing them now: hastening, acceleration, and so forth. There is something happening. Okay, continuing. So that's what I do. And I'm so excited to be with all of you. So, President Farnes, I wanted to start before we move into this amazing topic of how we can live the principles of love, sharing, and inviting as part of our missionary efforts. I wanted to ask you, it's been a little bit over a year since you were sustained as the Young Men General President, and just about a year when you started on this position. Can you tell us about lessons that you've learned, experiences that you've had in this time serving as Young Men General President? And then President Farnes, I appreciate it. One thing, I've just been so impressed with the youth throughout the world. I've traveled to many, many places: Asia, Peru, Mexico, the Philippines, Tonga, Fiji, and many places in the United States as well. And I'm so encouraged by the youth and the choices and decisions they're making. They're so much better than I was when I was their age. And I've learned so much from them, and I'm inspired by them and encouraged by decisions they're making and just who they are. They seem to understand at a deeper level. Now, I probably should have pulled this up, but I know that I have a quote from somebody. I think President Nelson has said this, that the youth of today, they do seem to have a better grasp of the scriptures and the gospel. What I do know is I have that quote from somebody. I think it was President Nelson. But what I do know is President Nelson has said so many times that this is a special generation, that they've been reserved for this time. I know that those kind of things have been said before, but it didn't really pick up until President Ezra Taft Benson. He's the one that said, when he was speaking to the youth, that you are a marked generation, make no mistake about it. But it wasn't really until President Nelson that this started getting stressed over and over and over and over again. And here's a new form of it right here. Okay, continuing. You mentioned that the Lord is hastening his work. And I'm seeing that in the youth, and they're participating at levels never before seen in the church, in all areas of the church. And so I'm encouraged by the youth, decisions they're making, and how they witness of the Savior's name in individual ways throughout the world. I love them and am inspired by them. It's been incredible to feel and experience their faith. And then Rogelio Osuna. Thank you for sharing those thoughts, President. I love what you shared about what you're seeing today, because I think where our youth are today is a reflection of what the missionary workforce is today. So if you don't mind, let me share a couple of interesting data points just to see the evidence of how the Lord is hastening his work. So today, there's about 87,000 missionaries across the world. Now, what's interesting, just really quick, I told you that this was recorded, or this live stream happened just about an hour ago. Before I saw the live stream, I had made the previous video that I published, the one where we were given an update on the missionary numbers. So they may not have seen Elder Razban's post when they did this live stream, but we're going to hop over there really quick. We're going to go to my spreadsheet called Timeline Missionary Work. And the news is that it's actually at 88,500. This is the largest number of full-time missionaries that the church has ever seen. This is a record-breaking number. Okay, back to this interview or this live stream. So today, there's about 87,000 missionaries across the world, and that includes proselyting missionaries, serving missionaries, senior missionaries. So those are full-time missionaries, not the part-time senior missionaries. But what a tremendous number of missionaries serving full-time. This year, we just had 55 new missions that were created because of the number of missionaries and people interested in the gospel. And then just last year in 2025, we had over 385,000 new members that were baptized because of these missionary efforts. And just as a side note, I always have to bring it up whenever we come across this number. Elder Razban said recently that at the same time last year, if you compare that number of convert baptisms to the same point that we're at this year, that the numbers this year far exceed last year's numbers. So it seems like we're going to have another record-breaking year. I would say that we're definitely going to hit 18 million members of the church, and that there's a chance that we might actually go all the way to 19 million. I've discussed that before in other videos, how that is actually plausible. But anyway, let's continue. He says, excuse me, he says, what an exciting time. But to your point, this is almost a reflection of what's happening today with our young men across the world. Wouldn't you agree, President? And then President Farnes says, I think that's an exact correlation sorry, of the youth and the decisions and who they are. In the coming weeks, we will have the largest missionary force ever in this dispensation. Well, that happened today. By the way, I'm recording this on the 14th. So the news was broke before they did this, and maybe they weren't aware that Elder Razban was going to post about that. But it's no longer in coming weeks. It's happened. And well, I guess as it continues to grow, with each new missionary, it's going to be a higher and higher number, and the record is going to be broken more and more and more. But it has happened today, or it was announced today. Okay, in the coming weeks, we will have the largest missionary force ever in this dispensation. And not only are more people joining the church, more people are serving as missionaries. More young people are serving as missionaries, but more are retaining and remaining as lifelong disciples of Jesus Christ after their baptism than ever before in all the areas of the church. So it's not just the missionary, like everything. It is, again, I have all these quotes on this spreadsheet. We're going to review a few of them, but it's happening all across the church, whether you're talking about missionary work, whether you're talking about family history, whether you're talking about retention or people progressing in the priesthood, like they've reached the age. Okay, what's the wording that they use? Basically, that you receive the priesthood when you should, according to your age. Like all those numbers, like everything, everywhere, they're all going up to unprecedented levels. Okay, so then he says, so this is a sacred, special time and time to prepare for the Lord's second coming. That's what we're all about, preparing ourselves and preparing others to receive the Lord and Savior once again. So there's the quote, and it makes me think of a few other quotes I want to share with you just really quick. We have this one from President Jeffrey R. Holland. At this time, he was in the Quorum of the 12. This is in his book called Our Day Star Rising, published in 2022. And he said something very similar. Now, I have this quote on my spreadsheet called Quotes, Common Misconceptions. The topic is the timing of the second coming. The misconception is the second coming can't happen now because blank hasn't happened yet. Fill in the blank with any prophecy or thing that you think has to happen before the second coming can happen. I have 3 different quotes that go against that idea. So President Holland said, "In everything you are seeing, more active priesthood, more engaged relief society, more attention to the youth, more temples that are being built, more creations of units, more home-centered experience. As all of that unfolds, every bit of that is an attempt to make us true living disciples of Christ 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, at all times and in all things and in all places that we may be in." That is what is happening in this church. And we've been preparing for it for a long time. All the years that I've been a general authority, we have talked about these things. The timing is such that they are coming to pass now. So again, this is from his book published in 2022. And since that time, there's been even more progress. There have been even more changes in the church, and there's been even more progress and records broken. He said, the timing is such that they are coming to pass now. I don't know what that means. I don't think it means the second coming is tomorrow. I don't think it is the day after tomorrow, but it could be. And it is going to be some tomorrow. It's interesting how he ties these two concepts together. What's been happening in the church up until this point, 2022, and how, well, I don't know what it means, but it could have to do with the second coming. I don't necessarily think it's going to be tomorrow, but it could be. He didn't say, brothers and sisters, like if there was some kind of like prophecy or set of prophecies that he thought had to play out before the second coming would happen, he wouldn't even bring that up. He'd be like, brothers and sisters, don't get all excited. We still have to see this and this and this, and this has to play out, and this is going to take X number of days or years. He didn't say that. He said that all these things that they've been talking about for so long during his time as a general authority, It just so happens that they're finally starting to happen now. And just imagine what they're thinking uh, today in 2026 with all these additional things that have happened since 2022. It's interesting to think about. Okay. I wanted to just read a few other quotes on my Second Coming spreadsheet that go along with this. This is from February 1st of this year. This is Chad H. Webb, Administrator for Seminaries and Institutes of Religion. This was published by Church News. While conducting Sunday's worldwide event, Brother Chad H. Webb, the Administrator for Seminaries and Institutes of Religion, who also serves in the Sunday School General Presidency, noted, quote, "Something wonderful has been happening among young adults." I love these type of quotes where it's like, you guys, something is going on. Have you noticed? There's like something different now. He said, "Something wonderful has been happening among young adults." End quote. Over the past 2 years, Institute has increased enrollment by more than 100,000 students, Brother Webb reported. The church educational system, which includes both seminary and institute, is quickly approaching 1 million youth and young adults enrolled in classes for the first time in its history. I should highlight that, for the first time in its history. Quote, "Every one of you who attends Institute this year will literally be 1 in a million," Brother Webb told listeners on Sunday evening. "An important part of a historic year known and numbered by our Father in heaven." In speaking about the growth of seminary and institute during an interview last year, Brother Webb attributed the increase to a variety of factors, including personal invitations from prophets. Quote, "The Lord is really blessing his children and hastening his work," said Brother Webb, adding that it has been, quote unquote, "wonderful to see youth and young adults respond to an invitation from the prophet." Okay, then we're going to go to July 7th, 2025, Elder Ronald A. Rasband. This is a social media post. "Hastening is a word that matters. It suggests moving quickly, accelerating, and even urgency. In the growth of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the plan of Christ, a hastening is occurring right now." Sounds a lot like President Holland. Things are happening in such a way that all these things are coming to pass right now. Elder Rasband says a hastening is occurring right now, and you are all a part of it. We see the Lord hastening his work in missions around the world. Many more missionaries are serving, including teaching, service, and senior couples, and they are entering the Lord's vineyard at a time when we continue to see miracles. Okay, I'm just going to end that there. Let's go to the next one. This is Elder Clark G. Gilbert. At this time, he was in the 70s. He is now our newest apostle. This is June 18th, 2025. That's the date of the article. Let's see. Okay. "In the church educational system, we are preparing young people all across the church to grow spiritually and become lifelong disciples of Jesus Christ," testified Elder Gilbert. During President Russell M. Nelson's most recent General Conference address, the prophet noted, quote, "The rising generation is rising up as stalwart followers of Jesus Christ." Elder Gilbert told listeners he hopes they feel the truth of President Nelson's words. Quote, "Seminary enrollment is at a record level across this church, both the total number of students and the percentage participating. Enrollment at our universities continues to set records." So now, not just seminary and institute. And I have other quotes that talk about this, that it's even just young adults that are going to college. So enrollment at our universities continues to set records. Even at a time when many people are not going to college, Institute is at its highest level ever in the history of the church. End quote. As such, Teachers within the church educational system have a responsibility, Elder Gilbert continued. In the words of President Nelson, we are preparing a people who will help prepare the world for the second coming of the Lord. Now, in a nutshell, we've talked about this. What does college education have to do with preparing for the second coming? You can kind of see how seminary and institute would help, but college education, like secular education, how does that help? And from what we've studied, it seems like it boils down to preparing leaders, people who have an education and who can lead. Specifically, there was this interesting interview. It was with Elder Gilbert and the Africa West area presidency. They were talking about how there are many Africans in that part of Africa that are taking advantage of BYU pathways, and how that has been a miracle because it's preparing leaders that can then serve in the church in leadership positions. How like the two go hand in hand because there's been really dramatic growth in Africa West. Okay, and then I believe this is the last one. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I do know the parts I want to read. Okay, so this is President D. Todd Christofferson, back when he was in the Quorum of the 12, and Elder Clark G. Gilbert when he was in the 70, and they're being interviewed by Sherry Dew. Sherry Dew said, "So what's happening throughout the church to create this phenomenon?" She's talking about the church education system and institute and all that stuff. Elder D. Todd Christofferson. But I think underlying all of it is the Lord moving with his people, and especially in this generation. You will recall President Russell M. Nelson this past October General Conference talked about preparing for the Lord's return. And among other things, he said, "I hope we are not missing the majesty of the moment here, in that the Lord is, with temples and everything else, is working to build or prepare a people to prepare the world for the Savior's return." Okay, later on, this is Elder Clark G. Gilbert. "So I think the proximity of temples, President Nelson's teaching of covenants and temples, there's fruits to that, those efforts, and they're just showing up, I think. We feel like one of the many ways they're showing up is through participation in church education. But there's a deeper phenomenon happening, and we think it is the hastening. And we think it is temple covenants and just a generation who's looking at the world and saying, I don't think that's the way." Anyway, that's all I want to read, but I just love that. But there's a deeper phenomenon happening. We think it is the hastening. So I could show you a bunch of other quotes where church leadership is just like, oh my gosh, there's something happening and we don't know exactly what it is, but it seems like it's the hastening and it seems like it has to do with the second coming. So there's just been so much of that talk among so many other things that have been said and so many other topics that have been touched. Signs of the times, this like thing that's been going on for the last couple of years with the 10 virgins, and just on and on and on and on. Yeah, exponential, exponential growth and exponential this and that. You guys, it's just, it's not the early 2000s. It's not the 2000s anymore. It's not the 90s or the 80s. It's not even the 2010s. Like we are in a different, we're in a different phase. I feel like I just keep repeating myself over and over again because there's so many of these type of quotes that are coming out where it's becoming very repetitive because it's just so frequent. So, all right, well, just one more time, make sure to follow Young Men Worldwide, especially if you are a young man, if you have young men in your household, or if you're a bishop. But it's probably just a good idea to follow it anyway. I think it's good to follow all the church accounts. All right, that's going to be it for this one. I'll talk to you guys later.